right, good people, in Quantum, your friendly commercial support system, back at you. So today I want to hit an area regarding commerce for all of us business people out there that fight the daily fight to uncover wonderful things about business and to avoid the things that are not so great about business. Today we're going to cover 3 areas, or maybe a few, I don't know. I'm not even going to count. I'm just going to lay out the value for you guys. We're going to cover some areas of expertise in regards to how to spot a bad business transaction or bad business deals. Okay. Now, I would love to say I have all the answers for everything in the world in regards to as it pertains to how business flows and how people interact and how various walks of life and fields of expertise coincide together, coagulate or whatever have you. Not the case. But I will lay out some of the things that I've had the experience of entertaining or enduring throughout my course of time in business. Okay. The first thing I want to lay out is I can't specify or stress enough the inherent need to know who you're actually doing a business deal with. See, there is no deal when there's no people. Okay. Obviously you have to have people to have a deal, and you have to have some type of interaction with people to generate the level of entertaining someone to see if there's something on the table worthwhile, right? So I can't stress enough, the first thing you have to completely understand is who you're getting into bed with, right? So to speak, getting into bed with, you get it? So in actuality, people out there are always going to give you their very best representative up front. It's like that in everything, but even more so in business, because now they're not only trying to become a close friend of yours or establish some type of business rapport, but they're trying to get your bread, trying to come after your money or someone that you know their money. All right. So the first thing you have to understand is, who are we talking about? Let's identify people first. Let's talk about that. Well, people are going to come at you in all shapes, sizes, forms, fashions, mindsets, ideologies, philosophies, etc., 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 right? It's going to come up and down the flagpole. You're going to have to get good at identifying good people, okay, and what they're about. You'll tend to notice that the better you can identify people, right, the better you can categorize people and pick through their mishaps and their values and their expertises and all of that rigmarole. You'll see ultimately that most time people are full of crap. I hate to say it. That's your first line of defense, is not to be so gullible and to understand the people that you're doing business with. Because sometimes, you know, they're going to be like those MLM companies that are going to say, call the first 5 people in your phone book and market this operation. And the people that's going to come to you have no idea what they're talking about and the expertise that they're trying to market you first off. You're going to see that more often than not. People that are not experts in what they do, they're going to laud themselves as such just to get in your good graces, to gain your trust, gain your business, establish rapport, and to get their hands on your bread, your money. That's ultimately what it's always going to come down to, right? So the thing about it is, let's establish first off who we're talking about. You have to understand how to look through people to see if they're credible. There are ways to do that, okay? Much more so intensive than I can cover in one video. All right, or you can book a consultation. We can talk about it. But in a nutshell, you're going to find that most people are full of crap. Sometimes they don't want to be full of crap. Sometimes they believe what they're doing has a real cause and an inherent value that they can offer you, some type of intrinsic solitude behind it, and it really doesn't. Bless their souls. Sometimes people just don't know what they don't know. But for the people that do know what they don't know, and they're just trying to pass over to you what they don't know to get you to believe it, so that you will part ways with your expertise, your phone book, or more importantly, your financial portfolio or your wallet. All right. More often than not, these people are going to talk a good game. They're going to tell you what they've come across. They're going to try to sell you on why water is wet and why peanut butter and jelly is the best thing since they invented it to go on sliced bread. Okay. We have to learn that we cannot take the words of everybody and everything, because most of the time people will lead you into a dark abyss, and it will harm you financially and commercially, and your reputation will get ruined as a result of doing such. So understanding how to identify people sometimes is going to take a while. Okay. This is not something you're going to be able to do overnight. Now, if you don't know these people very well, you're going to have to use all of the skill sets that you can drum up to uncover what people are truly after. All right. And what they're really on, what they're really about, what their game plan truly is. Like what's their mark on the world? Like, how does their expertise help your expertise? How does what their game plan or their agenda align to be? How does it align with yours? How can you benefit from their expertise or what they're offering you? Who are the players involved, et cetera, right? But most times people aren't going to know all of the answers to this, and they're going to be reselling you a repackaged item. Okay. Understand that when people come to offer you some type of business operation, it's not going to normally be something that they own or something they have access to that they control. You're going to be purchasing prepackaged information, prepackaged offers, and pre-sold items or resources or pre-sold operations of some kind. It's hardly ever going to be something that they control. This is where you have to be careful, because the people that come to you that don't know that they don't know, they'll be selling you a pre-packaged item, right? And you won't really realize that it's pre-packaged until you get 3 or 4 weeks into the transaction or whatever, and then you realize, this isn't right. This isn't something that they own and control. This has layers to it, levels to it, people in all shapes, sizes, and forms that you probably will never get to know or get to meet. So the first thing you need to do is understand who these people are and what they're offering you and why it's so valuable to you. And let's say this, get to know and establish a rapport for your benefit, not for theirs because they're trying to establish it. Establish a rapport because you need to know. Okay, this is information you can live your life by. Trust me, you can apply this in any shape, fashion, or form, in any contemporary operation or endeavor that you like. It will apply every time. Trust me on that. So what you need to do is understand that person, unpeel who they are, ask questions, ask the hard questions. How long have you been in this business deal? What can you tell me about it? Why are you so confident in the business deal? What's your investment into the actual operation look like? Where do you sit in the deal? Are you a broker? Are you a facilitator? Are you the owner? Are you the supplier? Blah, blah, blah. Make no mistake about it. They serve a purpose in the transaction, which is why it's at your doorstep. Okay. They're needing you to bring the deal home. They're needing you to help solidify the operation to some degree or another. Right. So this is where you need to be asking the hard questions as to what is this all about? Okay. Never take on the deal that you don't feel comfortable with and you don't have all the answers. Okay. Make really, really good notes. Jot this stuff down. Do a voice recording of the transaction if you have to, or the meeting or whatever the interaction is. Make sure you get some kind of something on record so you can hold people to what they say. Because a lot of people that are perpetuating and sending off transactions that they don't know much about, that they may know a little bit about, but they're trying to get you on board, they don't have all the answers, okay? And they don't like being recorded. They don't like being taken literally at the point of a pen, okay, or the point of a voice recording. Get everything on record so you can hold people to what they say and hold their feet to the fire when the rubber hits the road. Okay, you know what they say, when the spit hits the fan, things start going crazy because people don't want to be accountable. They want to offer you the opportunity for accountability, but they don't want to be accountable for offering you the opportunity to be accountable. See what I'm saying? This is exactly what happens. Okay. Number 2. All right. So once that person has laid out what they needed to lay out and you get to know who and what, let's uncork the transaction in and of itself, right? Let's peel back the layers of the transaction. See, you have to become a genius level to operate in commerce outside the confines of people who are quote unquote experts, because see, they'll take your ignorance for granted and they'll use it against you. Okay. They will use your ignorance to the degree that they can benefit from your ignorance, because if you have the funds or the opportunity to underpin their operation by way of your resources or your financial operations, they'll just use all that against you, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So the question needs to be, let's talk about the transaction. Let's uncork the elements of what a good transaction looks like. Okay. Because a lot of the time you'll get a lot of operations that don't look so good and people will offer them to you because to them, it looks great. but that's still more so the untrained eye. They don't know how to unpeel or uncork what a good deal looks like and what a bad deal looks like. They just know it's a deal and they hear money on the other end of it and they want you to jump on board. So unpeel the deal. So look at all the elements of a transaction to see how it fits in your livelihood as a quote unquote involved party, whether it be investor, bringing your resources to the table, whether it be you getting your hands wet in the situation and doing the work. You need to understand if the operation has value and has merit for you. Okay. If it does not have value and merit for you that you can ascertain, it's not a good deal. The moment you begin asking questions about a transaction and you're getting these halfway answers, these halfway explanations, they're not able to give you all the documents associated, nothing's signed and notarized, and nothing's on the table accurately, nothing has the meat of a valuable transaction with strength behind it, with know-how and gumption and wherewithal, gravitas. All these things are absent in transactions that are not good. Okay, this is what you have to become an expert on understanding, which is what I train people on in my consultations. If you are in business out there, you need to get with me to understand how to identify these things. So, and we'll cover that in a moment. Number two is going to always come down to people and who they are in the situation when the deal does not match what they say. Okay, so that means uncorking the transaction, peeling the onion, laying out the layers, going down each line item of a document. And I could spend hours talking about this because each deal will have some different obligation, some obligatory requirement or requisite or something like that. And you just have to understand contracts, understand deals, understand motives, understand mindsets, which all lie behind operations being offered to you as a quote unquote potential involved party or an investor or whatever you would be deemed justifiable as. So those are number two. Okay. Number three, right? How do you stand to benefit long term in the operation? Okay. That is very, very key. Like, what do you stand to benefit? What is your bottom line? Where do you stand to have any type of involvement to the degree that you can see long-term or let's say longevity in the transaction? Because see, most of the times when people get investors or people to come to the table, they're not going to do it for the once. They want you to get in for the long haul. Okay. The long haul is where the money is. Unless it's a wham bam thank you ma'am, a one shot deal or what we call spot transaction. I mean, you live to fight another day, but at the end of the day, no one really gains from that. So they want you for the long haul. So this is where you have to become, again, an expert on identifying how it works for you and how does it help you build your portfolio of involved business transactions. How does it work for you to involve yourself into something that only benefits the other side and not yourself, right? Most of the key things you have to understand in transactions when they involve other people is they're going to always look out for number one, and number one is always them. Okay. No one brings you a transaction normally when they're trying to look out for you. Okay. This is where your expertise needs to be honed. Okay. And shaped and forged and fire, because what people will do, they will bring you stuff that works for them of how they're going to benefit, but they're never looking for the long-term benefit for the person, although they want the long-term operation with the person. So in essence, they'll have a transaction that's only good for a one-shot deal or it's a one-way street that's going to benefit the person who they're bringing it to you for. But it's never really going to work long-term for the person they're bringing it to. But they want it to, but they don't understand the elements, the underbelly of the deal, which gives it the ability to have longevity in the first place, right? So understanding how to identify how it works for you. Take your time and just look at some of the past performance. Ask for this stuff. Say, hey, ma'am or sir, or Mr. Corporation CEO or CFO, how does this deal work for me long term? How is it going to benefit my portfolio if I'm going to involve myself in it? Where are the trap doors in this? Say, I need to look at documents. I need to see past performance. Okay. Do not be afraid to ask for past performance. Always get past performance. People will hand you stuff and they'll want you to go off just the the surface level of the transaction. No, we need to uncork, unpeel, and unpack this thing. Okay, we need to get all to the crux of the situation to see how it could potentially harm me, because there's risk and there are risk factors, but they will never talk about that. They'll talk about how wonderful the deal is, how great the transaction will be for everybody, including you, this, and that. But I guarantee you, if you never say one word, not one iota of a word, they'll never ever mention how it has inherent risk, potential hazards in a transaction. They will never discuss, because that's going to deter you from signing on the dotted line or signing the line or acknowledgement of your involvement or an acknowledgement of your investment. They're going to try to shy away as much as possible from what are the inherent risks. Okay, you need to spend more time talking about the risks than you are the reward. Okay, note that. That's a quantum original. Spend more time discussing the inherent risk than the potential reward, because everyone's going to actually do it the other way around. They're going to talk more about the reward than the risk. And see, what happens is once you start talking about the risks and how it is mitigated, okay, how do we mitigate said risk for me? That's when you're going to start seeing the cracks in the hairline cracks of the operation, because you're going to learn that people will not want to discuss the inherent risk factors, okay, because that's where the reparable harm comes in at. They're going to want to discuss all the elements of why it's so great and why you need to involve yourself in the transaction, but never how much risk is at the table. And if you do so happen to get lucky enough to find someone that will discuss the risk parameters, then you might have something worth talking about, because see, they want to make sure that the person getting involved in it has all of the bases covered and all the comfort is there. And that's how you establish the rapport. Talk about all of the risk with them first. Ask those questions and see how they answer them. If they don't answer the questions about risk just as elaborately or as jovial as they do the rewards, then you might have a problem. Okay. If they start like trying to gaslight the situation or redirect the focus and the energy about why we need to be talking about why it's so potentially hazardous versus why it's so potentially great. Easy for everybody to talk about how great a deal is. Simple to know why everybody should do everything. It's easy for me to talk about why I should buy tires from a tire shop. Easy to discuss why I should buy a $5,000 suit, which I do like, but I digress. It's easy to talk about all of the wonderful things about a situation, right? But it is very difficult for people to discuss all the inherent risk and how will you further mitigate said inherent risk. Keep your mind on those three things, okay? So that's all I wanted to talk about today. It wasn't designed to be an hour live. This is just a quick, long hit. I wanted to tackle some of these areas. I keep running into this thing. If you are a business person out there and you have all of the greatest intention in the world, you have all of the greatest attributes and expertise when it comes to doing a business deal, remember, you're nothing if you don't have these three things solved. You will never get to the promised land without knowing these three areas that I just went over with you. You'll never have it down. You will have the element or the illusion of having it down, but you won't have it down. What you will have is less money or less reputation when it's all said and done. Trust me, I've been through all of it. I can personally attest to everything that I say because I've gone through every single element of what I'm talking about. So if you are one of these people and you're looking to go down the line of getting into a business transaction, you want all the expert analysis, expert attentiveness to your paperwork, to your documents, to all of the resources, the banking, all this stuff, get with me to get a consultation, okay? In Quantum Merit, hit my email, people, okay? Hit the email. We have a community specifically designed for this. We have all the necessary professionals in place, 35, 40 years in business, all in banking, all in finance, all in law, all in legalities, all in contract review, all in bank assets, all in portfolio management, all of the certified public accountants, everybody we have under our umbrella, okay, to go over all of this, to give you the most expert analysis possible on your transactions, okay? This is what we are here to do, is to save you from yourself, okay? Like Ice Cube said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's what we're going to do. All right, so that's it, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Listen, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to this content. Get it out there. If you're in business, you know people that's in business, make sure they have a copy of this video, okay? I cannot stress it enough. I'm here to save lives and to help deliver you to the promised land. With that being said, I am out in Quantum. Peace, everybody.